Welcome back into the College Chaos Podcast. Garrett Ross, Jack Mackenzie, Jacob Wilson here with you. And it is time to flip the script and go from football to basketball, Jack. And who does replace Chris Beard on the 40 acres?
It could be anyone, and I am scared of a bunch of them as a fan of another Big 12 team. Even though they're going to leave, it makes me nervous because the names that are being thrown out there, I mean, it's everything from Mark Few at Gonzaga, Sean Miller at Xavier, Matt Painter at Purdue, who, as someone who grew up as a Purdue fan, scares me on many fronts. Nate Oats at Alabama, John Calipari at Kentucky, Jerome Tang at Kansas State, Royal Ivy, who used to play for them and was an assistant.
That's one that kind of caught me by surprise. I like Ivy.
Yeah, and then there are a couple others. Rodney Terry, obviously the current interim, and then Will Wade, Eric Musselman, Chris Holtman, and Jamie Dixon. Like, you're hitting so many big names out there and a lot of expensive buyouts and contracts.
There is, and I watched a little bit of the Alabama-Kentucky game on Saturday, and there was obviously a lot of conversation. And while Calipari's name was brought up, the focus I felt like was more on Oats, and rightfully so. I think when you see what he's been able to do to go in and take a traditional football powerhouse that the basketball program has been an afterthought for years and bring them to the forefront to where when Bama and Kentucky step on a court, it's Bama who is the ranked team. That speaks volumes to me. I love what he's been able to do at that program with Texas going into the SEC. I think that gives him the more finances. I think Texas would throw more money into basketball than Alabama ever will.
Texas just also seems to more easily get top level recruits in basketball, and they play a style that is catered to those top level recruits. They play fast, they play frantic, they let guys go one-on-one, shoot crazy shots, pull up threes in transition. Like, Nate Oats has been having to draw guys of that caliber of recruit and that style to Bama.
Right.
It's going to be in my mind, so much easier at Texas.
Yeah.
So that's a good recipe for success. I'd say Nate Oats is almost the one they should go with. But there are a couple other guys out there who are definitely intriguing.
Okay, so run with that. Nate Oats, obviously, I think that's one of the top ones. Who are some of the other guys who really stand out to you and when you look at this?
Matt Painter, obviously, he knows how to win in the Big Ten, which is it's a different beast, to be fair. But the offense he runs, when he can get his guys who buy into his system, they are one of the best offensive teams in the nation. They're consistently at the top of offensive efficiency in Ken Pom. He gets guys like Carson Edwards out of Texas, and those are not the highest rated guys in Texas.
But he develops them and he make them like that.
So honestly, that's probably my number one negative for Matt Painter in this job is, does he get to choose his guys, or is it going to be pressure to, well, this top recruit's interested, so you kind of got to take them?
Kind of like a Shaka Smart situation?
Yeah, because they did that to Shaka.
Absolutely.
They absolutely did that to Shaka. Otherwise, I'd probably say we'll get to Ivy and Terry probably at the end because they've got those UT connections. Right. I think the biggest rumor out there has been John Calipari. And
I do not like that.
I don't like it for Texas. I don't like it for Kentucky. I don't like it for Calipari.
I don't like it for anybody.
I don't like it for anybody, but there is a level on which it makes sense. I think that recruiting to Kentucky right now, after this sustained period of, I wouldn't say failure, they haven't been a top level team lately.
I think it makes sense.
I think Texas could reinvigorate Calipari, essentially.
But for how long? Okay.
Yes,
See, I think it makes sense from when you look at Texas and how they go about their coaching searches in every sport. It's instead of a fit, it's the splash. It's the name. It's the look at me now. Ooh, look at me. And Calipari will give you that, right?
Yeah.
But I think that his track record speaks for itself. Like, okay, you might win one national championship. You're going to have so much scrutiny. You're going to have violations. You're going to have egos everywhere, and it's going to be a disaster within 5 years. Is that something
I wouldn't necessarily say a disaster, but you are going to fall off. And who knows if you're ever going to get back.
I don't trust the man.
He honestly seems, and I don't mean anything like very offensive when I say this, but it seems like he's coasting at Kentucky. It just seems like he's coasting.
Did you see the sign last night?
I did not see the sign, but you did send me the tweet.
This was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So a fan at the Kentucky game last night has a sign held up that says, "Please go to Texas." And in the bluegrass fashion of the basketball haven, they take this poor guy and they escort him out of the arena. Like, dude, come on.
But like, was that a Texas fan or was that a Kentucky fan who's just kind of fed up and wants change?
I think it's definitely a Kentucky fan.
I think Texas fans will quickly get there. They might have 3 to 5 years of great success, but do they win a title? And do they get tired of him quickly?
I think they could, and that's the thing. That's the risk reward. I think they possibly could win one title with Calipari, but I think after that it's going to be a complete disaster because that's what we've seen year in and year out through that man's career.
Yeah. The last two outside candidates I really want to look at before we get to Ivy and Terry are probably Jerome Tang and Jamie Dixon, a pair of Big 12 coaches, a pair of coaches who are on the upswing right now. Obviously, Tang, it's his first year in a head coaching job, and Kansas State's, 3-0 in conference? Yep. He knows how to win national championships. He won one 2 years ago with Baylor, and he is building his own program in his own way, and It would be a smart hire to get a guy early on in his head coaching career. I don't think he leaves, though. I think, frankly, Baylor is the only job he would leave his current job at, and that in year one. Year one. He'll move on eventually, but
I think there's just too much outside noise at a program like Texas for somebody like Tang.
Yeah,
because
Jamie
Dixon would do it. I think he would definitely go. But look, and I think when you look at Tang, obviously it's the success he's had. It's also the way he went into Texas and just beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
And look, I know Texas put up 103, but still, that was a historic offensive performance for the Wildcats. And he, this is a guy who knows the state, who knows the recruiting grounds. He would definitely love to come back for the food. He's mentioned his love for the food here and having an HEB
tortillas.
It's definitely beneficial. But I'm with you. I think if he does leave Kansas State, I think it's a perfect job for him. It's small. It's a sound culture. He can do what he wants to do on his own terms, and it's a great family atmosphere.
Now, looking in-house, Rodney Terry's the one I want to start with because he's the current interim head coach, and frankly, I think stuff could have probably fallen apart pretty quick, but I don't doubt Texas is going to be competitive for the rest of the year.
They should be.
I think Terry's got a good handle on it, and I think that their culture is a sketchy term with any coach and any coaching staff, and especially schools like Texas. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if they feel like they have a culture that they were building under Beard, regardless of any crimes he committed outside of his job,
right?
The culture of the program and of the players, if they like the direction that's heading, then Terry's a guy who should get very strong consideration because he seems like he is so far running the ship decently. We'll see how the season plays out, but that's my take.
I just feel like with him, while he can right the ship and he can stabilize the program right now, I don't think he gives that that Texas fans and really the regents and everybody
it's too big of an opportunity for Texas.
I think they want somebody, they want a splash, and I think that when you look at a guy like Mark Few, he brings that. And when you look at the talent and what he's been able to do at Gonzaga for so long, and you talk about recruiting and getting people out of nowhere, I mean, he's taking guys that you wouldn't expect and sending them up to Gonzaga and developing them. And if you put him in a place like Texas where everybody's just given to him, like all the talent in the world is given to him with his coaching ability and his sound culture, I think he could do a lot of damage there. And this is a guy who he's coached against the Big 12 regularly. He's coached against everybody, but I think he fits in. He's got a good relationship, I feel like, with Drew and a lot of the other coaches in the and that's obviously a program too in Gonzaga that is being thrown in the mix as a future Big 12 representative. I think he would be a great fit in Austin. I don't know. From a coaching standpoint, he'd be a great fit. I don't think his personality is what would work there, though.
I don't think he's fiery enough. No offense to him. Honestly, I just think he's too nice of a guy for being it on the 40 acres. And I also feel like he is very much taken on his back the challenge of winning a championship at Gonzaga. And I don't think he leaves before he wins it or gets fired.
I completely agree.
And he's not going to get fired. So he's gonna stay at Gonzaga until he wins a national championship. The last candidate I want to kind of highlight, though, Royal Ivey, former UT player from 2000 to 2004. He had a 10-year professional career, kind of an NBA journeyman, and then he among other coaching jobs after his career finished, he was most recently an assistant with the Nets before taking over the South Sudan national basketball team. He was endorsed by Kevin Durant, I believe.
That'll go a long
for this
way.
job. But again, I don't think it's flashy enough.
I don't either. And
like, this is one of those candidates who I think would be very smart to strongly consider.
which means just throw him to the side because that's not what they're going to do.
He's got to get college coaching experience somewhere else. Yeah. That's what I feel like Texas would say.
There's a couple on here that really intrigue me, and I think Sean Miller is one where that's a name. That's a guy who can win. I think he's got the personality to deal with the people in Texas. Obviously, you got the cloud over you from Arizona and everything, but hell, Bill Self does. Boykin does. Everybody's got that. I think he would be a guy who would be a lethal fit there. I don't know if they would necessarily do it. He's gone into Xavier, and that was a program where traditionally they're always good. They were kind of falling off a little bit, and he's really got them playing, Xavier basketball again. That's one that's really intriguing. Will Wade, jobless right now. He's a good basketball coach. There's just so many
names out there.
I don't feel like it. The one that's not on here that is intriguing, and I don't think would happen, Kelvin Sampson. I think he's perfect.
I can't believe I forgot to put that on the list.
But man, look, he can do everything he could do at Texas. He can do in Houston,
and he's already doing it.
So why mess with that? But that was just something intriguing. So
that would be very intriguing. It's good that you mentioned it.
Looking right now, all right. So let's put a bow on this. You pick one guy off this list. Who's the coach of Texas?
Nate Oats.
Nate Oats.
Nate Oats.
I would have to agree. And if I'm doing a tie close, Sean Miller, I really feel like that's one to keep an eye on. But I agree with you. I think if I had to pick one, I'm definitely going with Nate Oats. And, that might open up a Sean Miller to Bama. Yeah. It could be.
Who knows? Anyway, thanks for hanging through another basketball segment here on Crystal Ball College Football on our College Chaos pod. Obviously, we post our college basketball segments to the 365 College Basketball YouTube channel. So go check that out. We'll have it linked somewhere in the description or something.
Also, don't forget, go check out 365 Sports on YouTube. We have an array of tremendous guests that come on there day in and day out with Smokey, Paul, and Craig.
3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
You also got the Bearcast, which we are going live now with the Bearcast.
Yes, it's our Baylor-specific podcast. It covers Baylor football and Baylor basketball, some Baylor women's basketball. It'll probably hit baseball when that season rolls around, but they really stick to recruiting football and men's basketball. And that has its home on the Sikkim 365 YouTube channel. So for those of you who think we're too big of Baylor homers, don't worry. It's in its own home.
If you like the Shield and you like the NFL, don't forget to check out my man Jacob Wilson and Shooting the Shield, which they do on Tuesday nights.
We typically do it on Tuesday nights, but we're going to go live tonight. Should be around 6:30. But yeah, it's me, Tanner Carlson. Emery sits in this seat right here, just talking NFL. Going to be talking about the playoffs. And doing our fun little recast segment. Oh, and I just had to throw in a little tidbit about Texas basketball for you guys.
Absolutely.
They haven't been to the Sweet 16 since 2008. They haven't been to the Final Four since 2003. And they've never won a national championship.
Ooh, dropping the heat there. That's Jacob Wilson. But that's going to do it for today. We appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, catch us wherever you get your podcasts. But this has been the College Chaos Podcast.